Bonjour! Hello everyone! Welcome back to Internet. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. For me, it's been a little over a week since I arrived in France. And you know what? I already have my fair share of culture shocks to share with you guys. I think having lived in Korea for the past 3 years, naturally my brain kind of keeps subconsciously comparing everything here to how things were in Korea. Of course, I'm Burmese at the core, but today I would like to share my culture shock experience during my first week in France, especially from the perspective of someone who has been used to Korean real life. But before we move on, I would really appreciate it if you could follow or subscribe to my page so we can keep in touch in the future and so you don't miss my upcoming videos. Alright, let's get started. So the first culture shock happened on the day I arrived. This one wasn't completely shocking because I was informed about it before flying to France, so I kinda expected it. My plane landed at CTT airport around 4:30 p.m. It took me like an hour to pass immigration and collect my checked baggage and stuff. Then a taxi came to pick me up. And then it took me another hour from the airport to the school to pick up my room card. But here, I don't really understand why they make me go to a different place that is not the residence just to collect the room card. But anyway, by the time I arrived at the school, it was around 6:30 p.m. So I think in France, if you use certain services outside of office hours, which are basically 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., you have to pay extra charges. So since I arrived around 6:30 p.m., which is apparently outside of office hours, I had to pay an additional 50 euros, which was definitely a bummer because 50 euros is not a small amount of money. It's like 10만 원. I told my friend about it back in Korea, and he was like, yeah, that's France.
Bonjour.
So I'm not sure if this is a common thing in France, but personally, I've never experienced something like that before, so it was a bit surprising to say the least. Let me know in the comment if you have ever experienced such a thing, or do you think it's reasonable, or any opinion about it. Alright, let's move on to the second culture shock. There is no water dispenser in France, or at least in the residence that I'm staying in. Thankfully, the taxi driver gave me a small water bottle on the way from the airport, so I had that with me for the first night. But the next day, I had to go to the supermarket, which is like a 7 to 9 minute walk away from my residence, buy water bottles and carry them all the way back to my room, which was quite a workout because the water bottles were like 5 liters, 7 liters, like very heavy ones. But I asked my friend about it, and she told me that it's safe to drink tap water in France. So I think I'll just switch to tap water once I finish all the bottled water that I bought, because there is no way I can carry them every single week. And financially also, it's just not economical to keep buying bottled water all the time, right? Alright, now the third culture shock. I bought like a 3-day internet package before flying to France so that I could use internet to let my family and friends know that I arrived safely as soon as I landed in France. But the thing is, somehow it stopped working on the second day. So I didn't have access to the internet since I also hadn't bought the SIM card at the time. So I tried to connect to the dorm Wi-Fi, and you know what? I had to pay to be able to use the Wi-Fi here.
What?
Which was a surprise because usually in Korea, Wi-Fi is usually already included in the rent. So I mean, we didn't have to pay anything extra for the Wi-Fi. But since I wanted to use the internet, like I really needed the internet, I had no choice but to pay to have access to the Wi-Fi. And you know what happened the next day after I bought it? The Wi-Fi, the server went down, like completely. It stopped working.
Huh?
And it stayed down for like 3 or 4 days. But finally they fixed it now. First the Wi-Fi, and then the elevator at the dorm went out of service. I'm not sure if they had other elevators in the dorm, but at least the elevator near my room was out of service, so I had to use the stairs to get to my room. And my room is at the top of the building, which they call the 3rd floor. But technically it's the 4th floor because here in France they count the 1st floor as floor 0 or ground floor or something like that. So basically I had to climb like 4 flights of stairs to get to my room. So at this point I am not sure if it's normal to have things broken in France, like to have system breakdowns in France. I'll see in the next few months. Overall, I wouldn't say these culture shocks were terrible. They are just adjustments. When you move abroad, especially if you lived in a country as convenient as Korea, you realize how different systems can be. Some things might feel less efficient, less convenient, and maybe a bit chaotic at times. Still, they are part of the adventure. And that's exactly what I want to experience during my trainees. So I think I'll just learn to live with it, and I can't wait to see what other culture shocks I'm about to experience next. Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. Please let me know in the comment if you could relate to any of the culture shocks that I mentioned. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!